Morning day six. I think it's 6,161. I think I said the wrong number of days or something yesterday. But anyway, there's 9 days left with kids, so I'm having a hard time keeping up with all that. I got the 9 days down. I remember that part. It's the other part I can't remember. Anyway, I've been talking about coaching a little bit. So, when you move around and you go to all these places and visit all these places in the state, you kind of get a perspective on some people. It's kind of unique. You get to hear a lot of things. We were on a bus one time and we were going, I think it was a basketball game, and the lady that was the cheerleading sponsor, she was like, man, I just hate going over here, and I'm like, why? And she says, oh, these people over here, they just think they're so great and they're so obnoxious and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah. I said, you know who I hate? She said, who? I said, man, I hate them people. I named some other county on the other side of us. She's like, yeah, I can't stand them either. My Lord, I hate going over there. And I said, what about, I named the county south of us. I said, what about this guy? Oh, they ain't nothing but a bunch of rednecks down there. I can't stand going down there because they always, and then I named the one north of us. I was like, well, what about them? I don't like them either. They're just obnoxious and loud and all this. And so I sat there a second and I said, you know what? She said, what? I said, man, if we're surrounded by all these obnoxious rednecks and stuff, how do we miss out on that? She didn't think that was all that funny. But I just wondered how we missed out on that, how we could have not been rednecks if we were surrounded by all the rednecks. But anyway, sometimes I would say things that I probably would have been better off keeping my mouth shut. It probably affected me, I'm sure. The first, 12 years I coached 3 sports, so I didn't, I was just around these people all the time. And another good example, a good story. I was coaching, they made me the girls soccer coach at a certain school, and I was the only one that could do it. I'd played, soccer in, high school and college and stuff. So they decided I needed to be the girls soccer coach, and they didn't have rec league. And these girls had never seen a soccer game in their life, so they kind of threw this team together and gave us some uniforms. And so there was a lot of things about coaching that team that was different than anything I had ever coached, because most of them had never played any sport. And so they didn't understand, about working and coming to practice. Here I am, this football guy, and I'm going to get these girls to. So that was a struggle, and they would do stuff like they would miss practice just regularly, every other day. And like with boys, if they miss practice, you say, well, you're not going to get to play. And so the girls, they didn't care if they didn't get to play. Okay. And then I started telling them, well, if you miss, you got to have a doctor's note, and if you'd have told that to boys, they'd have been like, man, a doctor's note, I can't get it. So the girls, they were like, okay, and they'd come back with doctor's notes. And I was like, good night, so they just missed all the time. So anyway, we had our first game, and we were playing the school that's in our same school district, because they had started the team too. So we got on a bus, we rode over there, and we're sitting there, in the parking lot, and I'm kind of telling them, okay, now when we get off the bus, we're going to go up there because they didn't know anything. They didn't know you'd go to the field. They'd go walking off in the parking lot or something. So okay, we're going to get off the bus. We're going to go up there to the field. We're going to get the balls out. We're going to start practicing, and all this kind of stuff. So I'm explaining what was going on. And I hear this knock on the door of the bus, and I'm like, who is knocking on the door? And I looked down, and this girl's knocking on the door that was supposed to be on the team. And I opened the door. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, my mama brought me over here, for the game. I'm like, you're supposed to ride the bus. We have a bus, and everybody comes over here. Oh, and I'm like, well, you can't play. You didn't come over here on the bus. So anyway, we go up there, and we're out on the field, and I'm down there with the goalkeeper, and I'm getting the goalkeeper ready to play. And next thing I know, I turn around, and it's a girls' soccer game of a county that's never had girls' soccer, so there wasn't a whole lot of people there, just our mamas and, a few people. And so anyway, next thing I know, I turn around and here's a mama standing right next to me. And she's like, why is my daughter, did you tell my daughter she wasn't going to get to play? And I'm like, yeah, I told her she wasn't going to get to play. She didn't ride the bus, And she's like, well, why not? And I'm like, well, man, that's a county rule. You gotta ride the bus over. And so she goes, well, is it a county rule that if they're sick that you can't, that they can't play? And I'm like, no, that's my rule. And she's like, well, I think that's, I said, lady, you're going to have to get off this field. And so that made her really mad. And so she turned around and started walking off the field. And the stands were, it was a football stadium, so they had big stands. And she got about halfway up the stadium and she hollered out, no wonder he's not married. No woman would have him. You know, and you could hear it all the way across the whole field. And she was probably right. No woman would have me. So the coaches for the other team really enjoyed that. They were laughing at me so hard they about fell off the bench. So that was fun. So when you coach 3 sports a year for 12 years, you don't get out a whole lot, and your social interactions, you don't really get all the social interactions you probably should get. So I guess no woman would have me. But anyway, you guys have a good day.